So today we wanted to come and talk through what we think the big must-haves are in your house if you're going to build a custom home. There's lots of different things. When it comes to building a custom home, there's honestly probably thousands of inclusions that you could have, or maybe arguably that you should have, or maybe you shouldn't have, but we wanted to make our top 10. Starting the year 2023, this is the first podcast of the year, so we wanted to come out swinging and just make a top 10 list of the things that we would include if we were going to build a house again, and things that we recommend clients include as well. So the first one, I'm going to list them off and Caitlin's going to kind of go through and we might banter back and forth a little bit. But the first one is large windows.
Okay, so large windows, natural light, we always tell people, natural light, you cannot recreate it. Yeah, like it's just, you need it. Especially where we live. I could say that for where anybody lives though. And the ironic thing is I feel like when you mention big windows to our parents' age people, Brad and I are both in our 30s, their first reaction, mothers usually will always be like, oh my gosh, can you imagine cleaning those? And to be honest, it kind of scared me the first time someone said that to me, but we went hog wild on windows on our personal house. And yes, we have to clean them, but not to a point where like it's annoying, not to a point where I would not put as many windows or as large of windows in. So I think if someone says that to you, take it with a grain of salt, and put the windows in.
Yeah, the thing that I always tell people is that you can't recreate natural light with fake light, with like pot lights, whether it's pendants, regardless of the light, you just can't replace it. So there's large windows, almost like brings the outside in, and it's like a mood changer. It just helps make your house feel bigger. It helps, like I said, bring the outdoors in, which just helps mood. So when you're thinking through a house that you're going to live in potentially for the rest of your life and how you want to feel within that home, that feeling is an important piece of the puzzle, and bringing in natural light with big windows is a really efficient way to do that.
Yeah, completely agree.
Okay, next one. The second one we had on our list was a fireplace of some kind.
Yes, I will say majority of fireplaces that we put into our projects are gas fireplaces. We have a gas fireplace in our personal home, but that's not to say we're doing an electric one right now. Mm-hmm. And my parents actually have a real
wood-burning
fireplace as well as your family's cabin. So we've experienced all three. The ambience that a fireplace will bring you is also unreplaceable.
Yeah, totally. I like to think about it that a fireplace is always going to go, I shouldn't say always, most of the time is going to go in like the central gathering place of your home. And so you have an opportunity to make it unique, like finish it in a unique way that like speaks to you and bring personality into your home. It could be like something really sleek and simple. It could be something more complex. It could be rustic. It could be modern. There's all these different twists that you can put from a design style around this central design feature in your home that again helps bring that personality into the house. And go ahead.
I was also going to mention, especially where we live, in Canada, where the temperatures get so cold, with a gas fireplace or a wood-burning fireplace, it is a second backup heat source. So obviously with a wood-burning fireplace, you just put the logs in like the fire. But with a gas fireplace, there's actually a backup battery pack inside of it. So basically, if your power goes out and you have no heat, you can slip those batteries in and you can have a heat source in your home to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And warm.
Yeah. Which is, power goes out often enough, so it's something you can easily just kind of switch on. The next thing that we had on our list was ceiling changes throughout the house.
Yeah, so any sort of ceiling change, to be honest, is going to bring both visual interest, and it's just going to make your house feel unique to you, in my opinion. So, for example, lots of times we'll step up the ceiling in an entryway just to make it feel more grand. We'll step it up in a living room and add beams. Lots of master bedrooms we end up vaulting for clients.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things where, you're never changing. You're never going to replace the roof on your house because you want a vaulted ceiling in your master bedroom, or you're never going to take the roof off your house because you want taller ceilings in your living room. Like, it's never going to happen. So that's one of those things, like you said, that it can bring a uniqueness to your house that you're just never ever going to change.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up is custom shelving. So custom shelving in all closets, pantries, bedrooms, entries, yada yada yada.
So the standard rod and shelf that a lot of builders will put in is sufficient for minimal items, but with custom shelving, it gives you the opportunity to actually be organized. So we put these big closets in our rooms, but then when we only put a rod and shelf, we're not utilizing that square footage to its fullest potential. And I think in our day and age, people in general are putting more of an emphasis on organization and kind of staying clutter free. And so custom shelving is really the ideal way to do that because, for example, in our kids' rooms, we made cubbies inside of the shelving to accommodate like folded t-shirts. We did slanted shelves for shoes. We really based it upon what our needs were, and that just helps people on a day-to-day living scenario to stay more organized.
Yeah, and I think that the reality is as time progresses and the cost of building continues to become more expensive, and that's never going to change. It's just the reality that our world is built upon. You can create storage in a couple different ways. Number one is you make the house bigger, and number two is you do some unique things like this where you maximize the closet space that you do have. I mean, think about most people's entry closets. They have a rod and shelf, and you hang a few jackets, and there's like 3 feet of wasted space on either side of that rod. When if you were to customize that and kind of think ahead of time what you're going to put in that from a day-to-day standpoint, then you can maximize and you have maybe 3 feet on either side that gets used, and now you don't need that added square footage, because the reality is that added square footage is going to cost more than some custom shelving here and there. So I think it creates way more functionality within the footprint that you're already designing in.
Yeah, we recently did a master closet where we did a cubby size specifically to fit a carry-on suitcase because our client travels quite frequently, and that way they're not going all the way down to their basement to grab their suitcase when they need to pack up. So I thought that was pretty cool. In a pantry, lots of times we'll do a narrower shelf on top for canned goods so that they're not stacking behind one another, so that you can just see them fully right in front of you.
Do you remember a couple of years ago we did a house and it was in a linen closet, and they buy their toilet paper from Costco. So they went to Costco and measured how big that a package of toilet paper is, and then that's where we set the bottom shelf of their linen closet so that this toilet paper could still go on the ground, but they maximized the rest of the closet shelving by putting that bottom shelf kind of as low as it can go.
Yeah.
So those
How
are
cool
just
is
some
that?
examples. Yeah. Okay, the next thing is a custom lighting package.
Custom lighting package. So lighting is something that you can change down the road. It's easier to just put in the lights that you want, to be frank. Because if you want to change them down the road, if you're not someone who can switch out a light fixture, then you're hiring an electrician and paying them to take down the original fixture, put up the new fixture, and then you're going to get a bill for their time. Lighting makes a huge impact in a room. Lots of times, if you have a room that seems boring and maybe you didn't do any like special design features and it's just kind of a neutral paint color, nothing really fancy going on, but then you put a cool light in there, it can completely transform a room and give it its own personality.
Yeah. And even things like, if you think through motion lighting, or like a mudroom is a great example. You walk from your garage into your mudroom and you're carrying 2 handfuls full of groceries. At 5:30 in the evening in the wintertime when it's already dark out, you walk in, the motion light just turns the light on. That's like an example of something that we're talking about with custom lighting package, whether it's motion lights and stairs so that when your kids walk down for a drink in the middle of the night, that the lighting on the stairs kind of lights up for them, like low lighting, dimmers, all of those types of things. Again, that's all of this for the most part are things that you can do down the road, and that is a discussion to be had too. Like, well, do you do it now? Do you do it later? And I think sometimes you maybe you thread the needle. Maybe you do the stuff that you won't do later, and maybe you don't do the things you can always switch out. That's a conversation to be had too, but I think the custom lighting package in general makes a big difference in a house.
Yeah.
The next one is, here you go. Spray foamed rim joists.
Oh, guys,
Testing
let me tell you about
time.
spray foam rim joists. I'm not going to try because someone will record it and repost it and just annihilate me online. So I'm gonna let Brad take this one.
Okay, so the biggest thing with making sure that this is something that we just standardize in all of our houses. Now, we didn't in the past. It is a cost upgrade, but it's definitely a performance and a quality upgrade also. So the difference between spray foam and bat and poly is really the job that spray foam can do around air sealing the most, this is good, I don't even want to say this, the most penetrated part of your house. I couldn't think of another word on the spot. But your rim joists are where all of like your hose bibs go through, some of your electrical comes through. It's where all of your like, plumbing and heating vents will come through. All of your hood vents, things like that. So I think I counted one day in our basement in our house, and I counted 11 places where things went through to the exterior wall. So that's 11 places that could be leaking air, where like bugs could be getting inside of your house, stuff like that. So because it's the highest kind of the place where it's most likely for air leakage and to lose that energy efficiency, that's why we've just standardized spray foam rim joists. It's a cost upgrade that I believe is well worth it, and a cost that you're gonna more than make back over time, and likely quite quickly. So it's something that we do all the time. The next thing on our list is custom cabinet options, which there is a plethora. But
there are a plethora, and this is one thing I think we do a really good job of, is showing people options for organization within the cabinetry. There are lots of things you can add into your cabinet design that don't cost a ton of money, that will make just your day-to-day life that much easier. And cabinets is one of those things that you're gonna have for probably 20 years. So you really wanna make sure that you get it right, because it is an expensive fix or an expensive swap out, especially right now and in the future, I'm sure.
yeah, I think again it comes back to the same conversation about closet shelving. It's like, well, the amount of storage that you can create within a cabinet, if you do it thoughtfully, is quite extreme. So if you are working with a smaller footprint, like if you're working in an infill, for example, infills just have limited amount of space. So if you're limited on your space, then you need to be creative in your storage solutions, and maybe that means you don't get a walk-in pantry. I could make a pretty good argument that if you are thoughtful with your cabinet design, you can probably create at least almost as much space in built-in cabinets as you could in a walk-in pantry, obviously depending on the size. But
yeah, so a couple of my favorites I would say would be the pegboard, which is a unit that you put inside of a drawer, and it's less than $100, and basically it comes with rods that you can move around into different pegs, and it helps your plates and bowls and cups to stay in place. So instead of taking things out of the dishwasher and lifting them up to a cabinet, you're now taking them out of the dishwasher and just going right to the side, and we typically put it to the left or the right of your dishwasher, and then you just rest your dishes in there. They're in a drawer, so they're easier to access because of the pegs. They're not moving around, so they're not clanking or breaking. It's definitely one of my favorite features. Another one we do really commonly is a spice pull-out. So we usually put that on the right or left of the stove. It pulls right out, and then that is where you either put your spices or your oils. And so this way you can see all of them when you pull it out. You're not searching behind different bottles like you would if they're just in a standard cupboard. And then it's got the adjustable shelves in there. So if you buy Costco sized items, you can accommodate those. If you buy the smaller ones, you can also accommodate those. And then what would my other favorite one be?
the bean.
I do like the bean. So, most kitchens, unless you're a galley kitchen, have a corner unit. So in that corner, back in the day, everybody had a Lazy Susan. So you've got the metal rod in the middle and the little turntables. Those are no longer really used. So there's different options you have there. And my favorite is what I call the bean. I think its actual name is like the Lehman's unit. But basically it uses that corner really efficiently. So you open up your corner cabinet and then you have what looks like a kidney shaped bean that pulls out. So I love to keep like our crock pot, our toaster, some of our bigger appliances there because it's easy for me to get them on and off of the bean and put them back.
Yeah. Okay, the next one, I guess you tell me if you tackle or I do, but it's fiberglass exterior doors.
From a design perspective, I'll tell you what I like about fiberglass doors.
Perfect.
Steel doors come just flat steel. Fiberglass doors you can get in a wood grain. So you can get them with a wood grain finish on them, and then you can actually stain them. So you can stain them to either match your decking, your gable detail, whatever color you really like, and it will actually appear from the outside like a real wood door. But it is not. It's a fiberglass door, which is actually more durable than a wood door.
Yeah, I wouldn't put a wood door in our climate, but honestly, some of those wood grain doors are like beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
We just put one in, and it's my favorite wood grain door that we've put in. It was super, super nice. From a pure durability standpoint, so from a design standpoint, like Caitlin said, there's just far more options, like literally options with doors that you have with fiberglass. We haven't put a steel door in, I don't know, 4 years now, 4 years now. A steel door just isn't as durable. It's more prone to scratching, to chipping, definitely to denting. Like if you were to bring groceries in and you accidentally like had a can of Pepsi and it swung in the bag and hit the door, it could dent the door. So from a durability standpoint, a fiberglass door is, for all intents and purposes, maintenance free. So you don't have to worry about that kind of thing either. So we've fully moved to fiberglass doors. Like I said, we haven't put a steel one in a few years now, and it's certainly not something that we recommend or even bring up to clients, to be honest, because it really is an inferior product, and the difference in price just isn't honestly really big enough in our opinion to sway back and forth in most scenarios. The next one, I'll let you tackle this one, then I'll go up to the number 9. So drying racks.
Ooh, drying racks. If you follow along with us on social media, you know we love drying racks. So drying racks are the units that you can attach to your wall in the laundry room, and so they suck right up tight to the wall, and then you can bring them out. So they hinge out, and then they've got little dowels, and you can hang your clothes over each bar, and it's a system for hang drying your clothing. So in our household, we hang dry a lot of clothes, and so it's amazing. We actually have 2 of these units on our wall, and we bring them out, and I put all the clothes on top of them, and then once they're dry, I take them off, and then I just suck the unit right back up to the wall, and it is amazing at space saving.
Yeah, I think it comes down to functionality again and increasing the space of the footprint that you have without having to expand that square footage. And I don't know, maybe somebody in like the fashion industry can tell us why, but it seems like most of the clothes you buy now are like hang to dry. That maybe it always was that way and I didn't know.
Yeah, and I think for a long time it was really popular to put a long rod in your laundry room for drying. But with that, then you have to have a hanger, and you have to put it on the hanger and then hang it there. Not that that's that big of a deal, but the dry rack is just, when you got little kids and you're in a hurry, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, then the last thing we will talk about is a hot water recirculation pump, which is a mouthful. But basically what it is that it's a little pump that goes on your water heater that recirculates hot water throughout your house, through the plumbing lines of your house, so that you reduce your water usage just by having to wait. Like let's say you're having a shower in your bedroom, and instead of having to wait 2 minutes for the water to heat up, maybe you only have to wait 15 seconds. So basically what it does is it has a sensor inside this little pump, and once the temperature drops below a certain temperature, the pump just kicks on and takes water from the hot water and recirculates that water through the lines until the temperature is reading what it is set at, and then it shuts off. So it's not like it's running 24/7. It's sensor based, so that just basically when you want to use hot water, that it's warm at very least. Maybe it's not hot like you would want it in a shower, but it's working from warm instead of working from cold. So it just helps that water usage, and it just brings kind of more comfort to your home.
So Brad, what would a average cost of one of those be?
It's like a few $100s.
For the unit or for the install as well?
Both.
Oh yeah, that's totally worth it.
Yeah.
You'll probably save that in your water bill over time.
Yeah, totally. And I think that at the end of the day, it's just how many times do you turn on the shower and just kind of wait for it to get hot and you're just waiting and waiting, or you just jump in it cold. That happens sometimes too. So anyway, I think it's one of those things that's well worth it, especially if your mechanical room is a long way from one of your bathrooms. So it could be in a 2-story where there just is that big height difference. It could be in, I can tell you, like in our personal home, our mechanical room we live in a bungalow, and the mechanical room is in one corner of the basement. So, and our bathroom's all the way on the other side of the house. So it just has a long way to go. If it was a smaller footprint and kind of your mechanical room is a little more centralized, maybe it's not as big of a deal because the water doesn't have as far to go. It's just something that it's on our kind of top 10 list. It's not an expensive upgrade, and it's something that I think from a water usage standpoint and from a just comfort standpoint is worth the money. So.
Yeah. So if you're building or renovating, you're going to want to save this episode because these are things you're going to want to do, or at least be part of the conversation.
Yeah. So that being said, we will. That's what we have for you this week, and next week we're going to chat a little bit about building a new home in the wintertime. It's a question that comes up quite often. I mean, definitely every fall we get them when we're talking with folks is, what are the repercussions of building in the winter? Is it a good idea? Do we have any concerns? Yada yada yada. So next week we're gonna launch a podcast talking about that. So
cool. Stay warm, and we'll see you guys next time.
see you guys.